friends, welcome to God Connections.
Thank you for making us part of your day.
Romans 12:15 says, "Rejoice with those who rejoice, mourn with those who mourn."
Come and sing with us.
Just to breathe something that's of worth that will bless your heart. I'll bring you more than a song, for a song in itself is not what you have required. You search much deeper within.
Before I was a mother, I thought I knew. I thought I knew what love looks like. I thought I knew the value of sleep. I thought I knew the sound of success. Before I was a mother, I thought I knew the beauty of a prayer, the potential of my joy, the length of my patience. I thought I knew the depth of art. The soul of laughter. moments of magic. Before I was a mom, I thought I knew the stress, the worry, the beautiful torture of learning, the healing of peace. I thought I knew how to keep my head.
This is the third time. Let's go.
I thought I knew how to fix my parents' mistakes. I thought I knew how to be a cool mom. Before I was a mother, I thought I knew. But now I realize I had a lot to learn. And you were teaching me the whole time, even before I was aware of it. You were welcoming me into the sisterhood of mothers.
A calling as old as love itself. You never grow out of being a mom.
I know that not everyone watching this are mothers, but stay tuned. I promise there's a message in here for you. Whether we like it or not, we all have mothers. And because we all have mothers, we all have these expectations on what a mother should or shouldn't be. Each of us have placed expectations on our own moms. We expect her to be around when we most need her, and we expect her not to be when we don't. We simply expect our mothers to know everything. And because I'm a mom, I wanted to share with you what mothering looks like in the Cooper house. This is Isaac. Isaac has always made parenting look super easy. He's laid back, obedient, loving, and he hates to disappoint. He loves sports, he loves to learn, and he loves staying out of trouble. However, he is a huge people pleaser, and because of that, he doesn't always speak his mind when he's feeling hurt, because he doesn't want others to feel bad or hurt their feelings. This is Liddy. She has been the definition of independent since the day she was born. Lydia, too, loves to learn, and unlike her brother, she loves to be in charge. She has no problem telling others what to do and letting them know if they've stepped out of line. She doesn't take my word for anything, and she has to have everything explained to her to the last detail. She's incredibly smart, quick-witted, discerning, and extremely opinionated. I love so much about this little girl, even if she challenges me on a daily basis. This is Jude. Jude, as you know, is always on the move. He loves to play any instrument he can get his hands on. He loves to wrestle with anyone who is willing, and he has the biggest imagination of any kid I've ever met. He too loves to lead, and he knows the perfect thing to say in any given situation, especially if it gets him out of trouble. He's pretty much the exact opposite of his older brother, which is totally okay because my life would be completely boring without Jude's big heart and even bigger personality. The stay-at-home order has been the hardest on Jude. He thrives on structure, and when structure and normalcy are taken from him, he gets emotional and honestly a bit defiant. I've tried to create a new normal routine, but let's be honest, school at home is way different than sitting in a classroom. The other day, he was overtired and acting out, so I told him he needed to go upstairs to his room, take a nap, and when he woke up, he would feel better. And as I started to walk out of the room, he said, "Hey, Mom, how come when you're tired, I have to take a nap?" I didn't even have an answer for him, except to crawl in bed and snuggle him until he fell asleep. We all know way too well that motherhood is a 24/7 job. There are no weekends off, no paid vacations, no guarantees of a full night's rest whatsoever. It's a full-time job that isn't even viewed as such. Our days are long, and some days it seems that we don't have any more of ourselves to give, not even to our children. But there is no other job in the world that is as heartbreaking or as rewarding as motherhood. No other job will have the influence or the impact on the world like parenting does. We as moms, as parents, have the choice to make that influence a godly one or a worldly one. The struggle to be a parent is harder now than it ever has been before, especially now that we are all on lockdown together. For some of you, Mother's Day can be a bittersweet holiday. You're happy that this holiday allows you to honor your own mother and all of your friends who are mothers. But you're also sad because the reality is that you're not yet a mother, even though you've always longed to be. None of the things that I've mentioned make me an expert. I make mistakes on a daily basis. I don't do Pinterest crafts well or cook, and sometimes we have macaroni and cheese and scrambled eggs for dinner. And by sometimes, I mean at least once a week. But this is what I know. It's better together. This experience of motherhood or parenthood is better and deeper when you have a little tribe around you who helps you, who encourages you, who keeps you sane, who bails you out, who gives you grace, and who holds you accountable. Friendship is God's design. One of the biggest ways God shows himself to us is through our friends. Friends who are the hands and feet of Jesus. When I say it's better together, that doesn't mean you should just spend time with your friends. And let's be honest, we can't really physically spend time with each other right now anyway. But it means being honest with each other, and that's kind of a different thing. Every mom I know wants to be a great mom. And sometimes that means pretending. Pretending that we have it all together. Pretending that it's all cupcakes and crafts. Pretending that our marriages are one lifelong honeymoon stretch. It's so easy to give each other our fancy Facebook selves. You know what I mean, I think, when I say that. Facebook is the place where we post pictures of our kids with clean faces and of vacations and of all of the good things that are happening in our lives. It's not lying necessarily. Maybe a better word for it is selective truth-telling, where we only share the positive, only the easy, only the good things. And in my opinion, that's kind of what Facebook is for. It's not the appropriate place for arguments or spilling the tea. Although, let's be honest, we all have that one friend who totally uses Facebook inappropriately. We kind of cringe when we see their posts. Facebook is not the place to tell the whole ugly, weird truth. But that whole ugly, weird truth has to get told somewhere. That's why you need your own little tribe, a place where you can share the good, but also the ugly and the weird. A place where you can say, you know, I really wasn't a good mom today. Or a place where you can say, my marriage is harder in this season than it ever has been before. A place where you can say, I'm not okay. I'm scared. I'm tired. I'm broken. In my experience, you can either choose honest connection or you can choose competition, comparison, or isolation. It's so easy to find yourself competing and comparing, and the only way through this is honesty and vulnerability. When you let someone into your life and you let them see someone behind that perfect Facebook exterior, it's wonderful. There's no secret formula, but they do include two things: time and guts. Friendship takes time, and at least for me, I feel like I rarely have time for anything, even in this time of COVID. So my time with those closest to me only happens when I get it on the calendar and treat it like a work meeting. If your life feels like like mine, weeks fly by and the weekends go by even faster. And all of a sudden, a month has passed and I haven't spent any time with the people who I need to connect with. So friendship takes time and it takes guts, willingness to be vulnerable and willingness to engage in conflict. Making new friends is kind of like dating. It's kind of awesome, but it's mostly nerve-wracking. You're putting yourself out there and taking risks. I could tell you so many stories of me trying to be someone's friend, and they weren't really jerks about it, but they made it clear that they weren't accepting applications for new friends. It's hard, but the alternative is harder, because the alternative is isolation. My best friends are not my best friends because we avoid conflict. They're my best friends because we talk about it. We have hard, honest conversations with each other. We cry, we apologize, we discuss, and we make up. Sometimes we get into the mindset that if something goes wrong in a friendship, that's the end. When something goes wrong in a friendship, that means it's a normal friendship. That's when you have the opportunity to build something beautiful with each other. I had the opportunity recently to sit in on a conference where the speaker talked about self-care. One of the questions I asked was, based on every person that you see in your practice, what is one thing that you would tell moms in a community? And she said, self-care. Nurture yourself, nurture your relationship with God, because everything else flows out of that relationship. And if I'm completely honest with you, this is something I am terrible at. Completely 100% awful at self-care. I tell myself that I will do it someday when life isn't so crazy, like that's actually a reality. A few years ago, my husband and I had the opportunity to go to Israel. We were on so many planes that by the time we got to the last one, I felt as if I could give the flight attendant speech with them. Put your seatbelt on, make sure your seat is in the upright position, yada, yada, yada. And then they always said this: if you are traveling with a child, put on your own oxygen mask first, and then put the oxygen mask on your child. If you're a parent, I know that I'm not the first person to hear that and say, yeah, right, I'm putting the mask on my kid first. I also know that I'm probably not the first person to make this connection, but when I was on the flight home, it hit me like a ton of bricks. That moment in the sky and the way we live life every day on the ground shouldn't be that different. There is tremendous pressure on parents to live in a constant state of overgiving, overmeeting, exhaustion. We feel pressure to be always available, always willing, always ready to drop everything we need to meet our children's needs and everyone else's needs too. We don't live in a culture that tells us to put on our oxygen masks first. And I think this is maybe why Mother's Day has become such a big deal. We've created an image of mom as spit-up covered martyrs who once a year really deserve some flowers. But maybe if we cared for ourselves a little bit better along the way, then we wouldn't be trying to fill such a bottomless hole on Mother's Day. Maybe if we made wise, difficult, intentional decisions about how to live well and care for ourselves along the way, then we would begin to stop that stereotype altogether. What if we showed our children that a picture of motherhood is vibrant and healthy and whole, instead of one that is fragmented and exhausted? And just to be clear, I'm totally talking to myself here too. This is not my strong suit. I don't want my kids to say that I am always tired and crabby, which honestly is sometimes the mom that they get. I want them to say that their mom laughs with them, is totally present with them, plays with them, and spend time with them. There's a verse in Proverbs that says, above all else, guard your heart, for it is the wellspring of life. I think this verse is really helpful for me because when I'm too tired, too empty, too rough around the edges, My children pay. My husband pays. My whole family pays. When I've been running too hard for too long, when I've succumbed to that cultural message that says, you're a mom, work harder, give more, add one more thing, do, that's when I end up in trouble. The heart is the wellspring. Your heart is your wellspring, which means you can't do any more than that. You can't be your best as a mother or as a Christian or as a parent, but certainly as a mother, if you don't pay attention first to your heart, or as they say, if you don't first put on your oxygen mask. To me, this goes right back to our friendships. The ones who keep me accountable, to push me to be more like Christ, who make me take care of me. There's one more thing I want to talk to you about. Jonathan and I had been married just over 2 years when I discovered that I had miscarried for the second time in 4 months. I was devastated. The only thing I had ever wanted to be since I was a little girl was to be a mother, and I felt like that was never going to happen for me. I had lost 2 babies, and I wasn't about to try again. I felt like everyone around me was pregnant, and here I was doing exactly what God had asked me to do, and yet I could not sustain a pregnancy. I was crushed, and I was angry, specifically angry with God. I was at the College for Officer Training, or seminary at the time, and I had a close group of friends, one of which was pregnant for the second time in 2 years. And this close group of friends surrounded me in prayer. I remember in one specific meeting where I couldn't even get through a praise and worship song without crying. I felt like the whole world was on my shoulders and that life wasn't fair and that God didn't care. This group of women surrounded me. They brought me once again to the feet of my Savior, and they helped me through those dark few months. They very easily could have let me suffer alone, not allowing me to ruin their happiness and their joy. But they didn't. They chose to mourn with me while I was mourning. Our unwillingness to reach across our own happiness or our own pain ruins relationships. I know friendships that have ended because they couldn't comprehend the complexity of joy and pain, because someone wasn't there when a friend needed them the most. This is at the heart of friendship. Romans 12:15 reminds us to rejoice with those who rejoice and mourn with those who mourn. It's incredibly different and incredibly difficult than what our minds and bodies want us to do. But if you can't do this, if you can't enter into another person's pain when everything is going well for you, then you will never experience transforming friendships. If you can't celebrate with someone when your own heart is breaking, then that means that you will miss out on the best that friendship has to offer. I'm not talking about faking it or pretending that your pain isn't real. I'm talking about acknowledging the fact that joy and loss are both real things. Both are happening all around us. They are unavoidable parts of life and unavoidable parts of friendship. What I know about mothering is that it's better when we do it together, better when we share, better when we tell the whole truth, better when we are in it together. So whether you are a mother or not, I want you to think about a person in your life that you are committed to walking with in your life, like my friends did with me. A best friend, a sister, a brother, or a parent. It might be that you are in a season of joy, and what you are going to do today is walk with someone through their pain, even though that is the last thing you want to do right now. Maybe you are grieving, and all you want to do is isolate and crawl in your bed and shut down. But you are going to commit to one person that you are going to allow them to walk with you through the midst of your mess. That is the heart of community, And that is what we can do during this time of COVID. Whatever you are carrying today, may you have the deep sense that you are not alone. You are loved and you are cared for. And maybe you are celebrating, and that is great. Celebrate wholly and celebrate deeply. Show up for someone else and don't let them grieve alone. This is the challenge of friendship, to rejoice with our friends and mourn with them when all we want to do is one or the other. Let's work on God's behalf, healing his sons and daughters in daily, tangible, up-close ways. The opportunity to change the mourning to rejoicing, to be the kind of friends to bridge that terrible gap. We can be amazing mothers and parents and friends to each other, but we have to be willing to be vulnerable. Let's sing together.